5-year-old Sham's eyes are a portal to the past she cannot forget. There are the streets and homes scarred by war, this building where she recited her final prayers. And then there is the indelible sight of her father and sister, shot dead before her eyes. Sham's mother, Sana, who suffered burns as a child, will never forget that day.
ويا ريتنا ما روحنا على البيت. خسرت أغلى ما عندي. خسرت أغلى إشي عندي بنتي.
But there's more to their story than tragedy and loss in war-torn Gaza. Sham and Sana's story is unlike any other we have come across in 10 months of war. That's because Sana doesn't just accuse Israeli troops of killing her husband Akram and daughter Yasmin. An Israeli soldier may also have saved her life. On November 24th, the week-long truce between Israel and Hamas begins. Thousands of people begin heading back to their homes in northern Gaza. Sana and her family are among them. But as they approach the Salatin neighborhood where they lived, they find themselves walking alone. And then, shots ring out.
الله يرحمها ياسمين واحدة في ظهرها وواحدة في كتفها. وأنا صوبوني في رجلي وزوجي صوبوه في بطنه. فقعدنا كنا على الأرض ما قدرناش نتحرك. صرنا ننزف دم. الشام الوحيدة ما تصوبت.
Her husband soon decides to crawl away to try to find help, but moments later he is shot again, fatally. Sana lies on the ground, bleeding, cradling her eldest daughter, Yasmin.
ماما أنت متيش وتسيبينا يا ماما أنا لسه عايشة. حضنتها وقلت لها لا يا ماما مش حنموت. وأنا عارفاها بتستشهد. بس قلت لها لا يا ماما مش هتموت قد الإسعاف أجا. كنت أديها أمل وعني عارفة ما في أمل.
As a mother, I mean, you must have felt absolutely helpless in that moment.
أصعب موقف إني مش قادرة أقدم لها أي حاجة. مش قادرة. حتى تطلب مية مش عندي مية. تقول لي عطشانة يا ماما.
Yasmin soon died in her mother's arms. For hours, Sana lies here with Sham, unable to move, until she finally finds the strength to crawl down the street and into this nearby home. We obtained footage from that house after our first interview with Sana. This is the first time she and Sham are seeing it.
أنا الحمام اللي تخبينا فيه.
And Sham begins to tell my colleague Abir Salman what happened to her.
والصبح شو صار؟
اجوا الدبابات.
كيف عرفتي انه اجوا الدبابات؟
سمعت صوتهم.
حكيت لها هيهم وصلونا فتشهدنا. حكيت لها خبيني عشان لما يطخوني ما أشوفهم.
An explosion then rocks the bathroom. Israeli soldiers enter the house and call out in Arabic. What happens next is captured on muted body camera footage provided by the Israeli military. 2 soldiers treating Sana's gunshot wound.
حكيت له حرام عليك يعني أنت ما شفت بنتي اللي على الباب مستشهدة. رجاء الحار ما تقتلنا خلص بكفي اللي قتلتوهم. بحكي لي مش إحنا اللي قتلناها. الصنوار. حكيت له أنا شو دخلني بالصنوار وبغيري كمان. انتوا حرمتوني بنتي حرمتوني كل حاجة.
The medic soon realizes her condition is serious. She needs to get to a hospital.
لا صار يعمل اتصالات بعدين سابوني وحكى لي حناخدك معنا نعالجك.
Israeli soldiers carry Sana out of the building on a stretcher, her hands clutching Sham. Nothing about this footage should be extraordinary. Militaries must protect and care for wounded civilians when possible under international law. But in this war, this sight is exceedingly rare. For 8 months, Sana and Sham have lived in this Jerusalem hospital. Their journey here was no less traumatic. Interrogation and strip searches came before treatment at an Israeli hospital. Israeli authorities are now planning to send them back to Gaza next month. unless another country takes them in. The Israeli military, for its part, told CNN in a statement that Sanaa and her family were caught in the crossfire. The IDF says its soldiers issued verbal warnings after the family stumbled upon a concealed military position, drawing a militant attack. The 4 people who entered in the area were caught in the intense exchange of fire between the terrorists and our troops. The troops did not open fire at the 4 people, nor did they aim at them.
كذاب ما فيش حدا كان في المنطقة ولو فعلا في مقاومة كان أنا شفتهم.
I wonder what would you say to that one soldier if you could see him again?
يعني صح إنه ساعدني بس برضه هو أحرمني أغلى حاجة عندي. ما بقدر أشكره كمان لأنه هذا هو حن علينا بإرادة ربنا مش بإرادته هو. إرادة ربنا لأنه لو في عنده إحساس ما أحرمني أغلى الناس.
Sanaa's pain is as raw as ever. And seeing her home again in footage filmed this spring brings a flood of emotion.
هاي الأحذية تاعون ياسمين وشام. هذول جبت لهم إياهم على العيد.
Mundane objects are transformed into relics.
وهذا بسطان ياسمين وهذا بسطان شام. هي كانت تحب دايما اللون الزهري. هذا بسطانها.
And Sanaa is taken back in time to the life she will never get back.
And Jeremy's joining us now from Tel Aviv. Jeremy, very, very powerful story. I want to know whether there's any update to the fact that you report the IDF says they're going to send her back with her daughter. Is that really possible?
As of now, Israeli authorities are planning to send Sanaa and Sham back to Gaza at some point early next month. But as I understand it, if a third country comes in and says that they will take them in, then there is an option here for them to not go back to Gaza. And I do want to stress what that could mean if they were sent back to Gaza. I spoke with Sham actually just in the last, I spoke with Sanaa in just the last hour, and she told me that she is terrified of going back to Gaza, terrified of what life would be like if she were living with her family, who are currently living in makeshift shelters. They've been displaced 4 times in Gaza already so far during this war. But most of all, she is terrified about what going back to Gaza could mean for her daughter, Sham. I first met Sham 5 months ago, and the girl that she is now is very different from the girl she was 5 months ago. She has opened up so much more, and her mother is terrified that should they go back to Gaza, all of the progress that she has made since then could effectively be erased in an instant.
It is incredible how resilient children can be given half the chance. But I want to know what about the bigger picture in terms of a ceasefire for everybody's sake, transfer of hostages and prisoners. There's all sorts of leaking, as you know, and reporting of blaming and finger-pointing at the Netanyahu government for not pushing these ahead. Even within this Israeli establishment, there are criticisms for the way this is going. And even Egypt has been leaking that they don't think the Israelis want a ceasefire. What do you think is going on? How much store do you set by what the Americans are saying that it's so close?
It is so hard to know who or what information to believe at this stage, and so I think we have to just kind of keep an open mind about various different possibilities. There's no question, though, that it very much seems like the Americans are the most kind of optimistic, the most gung-ho about this current negotiating process, and at times it really does feel like they are almost trying to will this ceasefire agreement into existence. Yesterday we heard the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, saying that Israel has accepted this bridging proposal, which is intended to bridge the gaps between the Israeli position and the Hamas position. But at the same time, we are still hearing doubts in the Israeli government about Israel's full commitment to the current version of this ceasefire proposal. And in addition to that, Hamas is saying that they believe this bridging proposal is effectively caving to a series of Israeli demands, which they view as total non-starters. So right now, it seems difficult to imagine how a deal could come together this week, which is what the United States has said their goal is. But it is clear that at least negotiations are continuing, and we expect the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, as he arrives in Doha, Qatar, to get a better sense from the Qataris, who are the key interlocutors with Hamas, about exactly where their head is at behind the scenes. So these negotiations certainly continuing. Very hard to see where they go from here.